okay, so the Jaguars got embarrassed, humiliated by the Bucs, but it's not even the Bucs. It's the fourth straight loss. Trevor Lawrence, clears concussion protocol, comes back at the last minute, plays terribly, and then has a shoulder injury. We got, still pictures of him looking like Mr. Magoo. It is, code red in Jacksonville. They're leading the AFC South right now because the Colts and the Texans both lost. I want to ask, does it feel like the season's over for the Jaguars? I know they're still leading the AFC South, but it feels like it's over, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be leading the AFC South for long at all. Matter of fact, I think the Colts are probably going to overtake that spot and probably win out because the Colts are kind of on this weird hot streak right now. I thought the Texans would be here, but C.J. Stroud being out really hurt them.
It really derailed them, yeah.
Still, I mean, they're all tied right now. They're all 8-7, I think, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's anybody's ball game except for Jacksonville. Like, they're not going to get better, Tristan. Like, let's just be real. They are not going to improve in the next 2 weeks to make it in to win the division for the AFC South.
They can't improve. They've got too many issues. It's not something you overcome. Yeah. I want to go back to preseason when we made a video about the Jags, and I said and you said, we both said the big question and the worry for the Jags was the offensive line. We got comments saying we were idiots. We don't know what we're talking about. By the way, correct, but we were out on that issue. What's been the big issue for the Jacksonville? It's been the offensive line. They've been bad.
Jacksonville.
And it's not just that. Calvin Ridley hasn't panned out the way they've really wanted him to. Trevor Lawrence hasn't played great. I'm not putting it all on him. The offense doesn't look creative. It doesn't look like the Doug Pederson offense.
Mundane.
And the defense isn't great. They haven't stepped up. I'm a little bit baffled. I'd love to go back and watch some film after the season and see what happened. But after last year, where they took the Chiefs down to the wire, they made that playoff run. Ryan, how does it get worse in Doug Peterson's second year with Trevor Lawrence? I don't know where it went wrong.
It would take a fiery plane crash to get any worse than what it is right now.
But doesn't it feel like all the pieces are there? It feels like on paper it should be worse. Even with the questions on the offensive line, it feels like this should be an AFC South winner and a contender in the playoff. And right now it feels like they're going to lose every game they play.
Yeah, it does. Really, ever since the past 4 weeks. I mean, they won against the Texans 24-21 in a close one.
Yeah.
And they beat the Titans pretty handedly and got embarrassed by the 49ers. So, and then since then, they've lost 4 games consecutively, week to week to week to week. And I don't really see.
And they haven't been close.
You tell me. Okay, they have a pretty good shot at beating the Panthers next week. But it could be a sneaky game. They could screw up and lose it.
Absolutely.
And then the Titans with Ryan Tannehill, somehow they're rejuvenated right now.
Tannehill or Levis. I don't care who plays.
Right?
Either
one of them. They're interchangeable right now. But yeah, they're getting a new fire under them. And look, there's a chance that Jacksonville doesn't make the playoffs at all, man. Like, honestly, because you got to look. The Colts, I think, are going to win the division.
You think?
Because who knows? Well, I mean, if Stroud comes back next week and wins out and the Colts slip up and lose one, possibly.
I think Stroud's out for the year. I think they're going to play it safe.
I do too.
So.
But that aside, the Colts are probably going to win. The Texans may move up above the Jags, right? And then you got to look at the rest of the AFC for wild card slots.
Well,
and the Steelers are 8-7. The Bengals are 8-7. The Raiders and the Broncos are kind of on a hot streak. They're both 7-8 right now. And then you got my Bills who are 9-6. So yeah, it looks to me like the Jags are out of the playoffs completely potentially.
See, I don't. For some reason, I guess it really depends on that Carolina game. Like I don't know what makes me think they'll right the ship. The only thing that gives me a little bit of not even comfort, but hesitation on saying they're done is they have lost to good football teams like Baltimore, Cleveland, okay, the Cincinnati one, whatever. But and Tampa Bay is looking good right now, but they shouldn't get embarrassed like they did. And the interceptions, I mean, Devin White made them look like a fool. But if Jacksonville wins out, if they beat Carolina and then they go to Tennessee and beat the Titans, that's it. They've won the AFC South. What my point being, though, say that happens. Just go ahead. Hey, take your imaginary pen. Go ahead and check mark them 2 wins, okay? They win those last 2 games. They finish 10-7. They win the AFC South. They're hosting a playoff game. They ain't winning that playoff game. So that's my whole point. Even if they win out and win the division, which totally could happen even with all how bad they've been, there's no way they're beating one of these playoff teams, right? You think that the Browns would come in there and stomp the crap out of them. The Bills, the Dolphins. Yeah. Hell, I don't think they could beat the Chiefs right now, man.
Yeah, and that's saying something.
Right.
But look, and I know we're probably over time here, but I just want to touch on these two things. Houston and the Colts, right? So you look at both of these teams and you look at the remainder of schedule. Well, Jacksonville has the best remaining schedule possible because they play the Panthers and then the Titans, okay? The Texans play the Titans and then the Colts. And the Colts play the Raiders and then the Texans. So really, if we're ranking strength of schedule, it goes Jacksonville, Houston, and then the Colts.
Yeah.
From least to best.
Right.
So it could come down if Jacksonville slips up. We talked about the Bills and Miami having a showdown to who wins the division. It could potentially play out this way for the AFC South here too, because if Jacksonville slips up and loses one game against the Panthers or the Titans, either which one, and the other two teams win their Week 17 game, and then they go to the Colts versus the Texans in the final week, that's your playoff match for the winner of that division.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I say all that to say, the long-winded way of saying it's gonna be a shakeup on multiple fronts for these division winners in the AFC. NFC, I feel like, is kind of solidified a little bit. Yeah, right.
AFC still kind of up in the air for a lot of teams because a lot of teams are coming on hot right now, and their really good teams are taking a little bit of a step back.
Right, exactly. It almost feels like a game of hot potato with playoff spots, but not in a good way. It's like no one wants it. It's like, no, you take it. You take it.
It's hopscotch.
Yeah. I mean, you've taken the Jaguars have had so many chances to just run away and take the lead in this division, and they just won't do it. And the fact that all of these three teams lost this weekend, it's a joke. I mean, the AFC South is way better than we thought they would be. Shane Steichen, arguably coach of the year. What he's doing is impressive. I think ultimately, though, regardless of who gets in, even if it was Houston with a backup quarterback, which I don't think is happening, Colts, Jaguars, whoever it is, they're basically hosting a playoff game and getting one and done, right? There would have to be such a drastic turnaround. I feel the same way about the Jags as I do the Chiefs. It's like, at this point in the season, when it's week 8, week 10, we say, hey, they say it on broadcast. They're going to have to figure some things out for sure. After week 16, I think, we figured it out. We're not going to have some giant change in week 17. And it's not like Jacksonville is losing by 3 to 10 points. And, we just, if we could just not turn the ball over, that's where we lost the game. I mean, they're getting cleaned from first quarter to the last. 60 minutes, they're getting walloped. So you don't fix that in the course of a week. I don't know if you fix that in an off season.